Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, everyone. How are you doing?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Okay, so we welcome you all to our weekly classes. Thank you very much for joining. I can see today Lavina, Mampi, Kalpana, Aja, Deepa, Varsha, Khushi, Ninad Mehta, Karuna, Manish, Shivani, Venkatchari, Nisha, Meena Bharwani, Disha Jadwani, Saket. My parents are there. Nirmala, Disha, Mehak, Sri Harirada Mataji, Gargi, and Krishna Kumar. So thank you very much for joining us. Do we have any question from the previous class? Any doubts that need to be cleared? Okay, so what did we see in the previous class? Did we finish any chapter?
Yeah, we finished the first chapter.
Yeah, we finished chapter number 1. What is the title of chapter 1?
Observing the armies on the battlefield.
Right.
Observing the armies on the battlefield of Kurukshetra.
Kurukshetra.
Okay, so how many reasons did we see Arjuna gives for not fighting the war? In total, in chapter 1.
Mataji, were there 4 reasons?
Yes, 4 reasons in chapter 1. Very good. What are those reasons?
Compassion, enjoyment,
Enjoyment, sin,
and the last
Sinful
one,
reaction.
sinful
Destruction,
reaction.
destruction of the family and
destruction of family traditions. So these 4 reasons Arjuna has given in chapter 1. There is one more reason. There are a total of 5 reasons. The 5th reason we will see in chapter 2. Okay. So in the previous class, we saw Arjuna's 3rd and 4th reason not to fight. So 3rd reason he gives here, sin will overcome us. So he's afraid of taking the sinful reactions of killing such great personalities. His own spiritual master, his grandfather Bhishma, who's also one of the 12 Mahajans. No? So he doesn't want to take the sinful reactions. And then we saw that he's also worried about destruction of the dynasty, leading to destruction of family traditions. And that gives rise to unwanted population or Varna Shankara. This unwanted population, Varna Shankara, Arjuna says, will cause disturbance in the society. So therefore, the society as such will fall down, and then even the ancestors of such corrupt families fall down, because there will be nobody to do the final rites and rituals or pindadan of the ancestors. So even the ancestors will fall down from the higher planetary systems. So like this, he explains. And then at the end, he says, then in the end, he says that it's better for me if the sons of Dhritarashtra were to kill me unarmed. So Arjuna is even ready to die at the hands of the Kauravas instead of him fighting the war. So we see how Arjuna is very soft-hearted. He has no greed for the kingdom. There is no lust and greed for the kingdom, nor is there any envy in his heart. Neither is he wanting to prove his superiority to anybody else. So this soft-heartedness of Arjuna makes him qualified to receive the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita. Finally, Sanjaya describes that Arjuna, having spoken thus on the battlefield, he cast aside his bow and arrows and sat down on the chariot, his mind overwhelmed with grief. Now, here at this point, what do you think is Dhritarashtra's frame of mind? How is he? Is he happy? Is he sad? Is he dejected? What is Dhritarashtra thinking now?
I think the Dhritarashtra must be thinking that it is better that Arjuna leaves his bows and shall let him not fight, so that my son can be the king of Hastinapur.
Yes, exactly. So Dhritarashtra here is very, very happy and glad when Sanjaya tells him that Arjuna has put his bow aside and his mind is completely overwhelmed with grief. So Dhritarashtra is very, very elated and very, very happy right now. But very soon in the very next verse, Sanjaya's words are going to disappoint Dhritarashtra, which we will see in the beginning of chapter number 2. Okay, but before that, I have to chant the invocatory prayers. 1 second. These prayers are there on your Veda base. If you like, you can access them as well. I will show you here on the Veda base. See here, you go to your Veda base and your Bhagavad Gita as it is introduction, you can find these invocatory prayers to invoke auspiciousness. Okay, Om Agyana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Taruvyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
So are we ready for chapter 2? Oh, but 1 second. Let's begin by offering our respects to the founder Acharya of ISKCON, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada.
Sansarada
Prabhupada ki jai. Okay, so chapter 2 is the second longest chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. It has a total of 72 verses and it is titled Contents of the Gita Summarized. Now, which is the longest chapter of the Bhagavad Gita? Who knows?
Chapter number 18. 18th chapter.
Yeah, the 18th chapter or the last chapter of the Bhagavad Gita is the longest chapter. This is the second longest chapter. Now, it is titled Contents of the Gita Summarized because in chapter 2, Krishna has said all that he wanted to say to Arjuna. And what happens after chapter 2 is an expansion or a more detailed explanation of what Krishna already speaks in chapter number 2. So therefore, in chapter 3 onwards, you'll see Arjuna asking further questions and then Krishna goes on to explain the same knowledge of chapter 2 in greater detail. So therefore, chapter 2 is titled as Contents of the Gita Summarized. It is considered that actually Bhagavad Gita finishes in 2 chapters, but it continues till chapter 18 because of Arjuna's questions, which he asks. Of course, those questions are the questions that would come to the mind of anyone who's reading the Bhagavad Gita. So therefore, for the benefit of us or the readers or the students of the Bhagavad Gita, therefore Arjuna asks these questions on our behalf and Krishna then clarifies those doubts. But before we start off with chapter number 2, we have to understand the Falashruti or what is the benefit of reading, reciting, learning this particular chapter. So these are from the book called Gita Mahatmya. Gita Mahatmya is a conversation between Lord Shiva and Goddess Parvati, where Goddess Parvati is inquiring from Lord Shiva about the glories of the Bhagavad Gita. Now, because Bhagavad Gita has 18 chapters, Gita Mahatmya also has 18 chapters. Yeah, Krishna Kumar, you have a question?
Yeah. I just wanted to ask whether there is any summary or Mahatmya for the chapter 1 also?
Summary for chapter 1. Summary of the chapter?
No. I'm asking like now Gita Mahatmyam, like Shiva is explaining to Parvati Devi. Is there something like this for chapter 1 also?
Yes, we did it when we did chapter 1 in our
I'm
classes.
sorry. And
I
I
think
had.
you were absent for that class.
Yes. Sorry.
Yeah, every chapter there is. So chapter 1 also we did in our classes. Okay, so you can access the recordings and check it out.
One more thing. As we have learned in the previous sessions that previous time that we did that, all these events of recording the Mahabharata happened after Bhishma Dev falls. Okay.
The recording of
So,
which events?
like the Sanjaya giving the Bhagavad Gita, narrating the Bhagavad Gita to Dhritarashtra happens when Dhritarashtra comes to know that Bhishma Dev has fallen. Right?
Yeah, this is something that I have also read. I have also heard in another class. Yes. Because Sanjay is in and out of the battlefield.
Yes, Sanjay is out, and because I'll tell you my perspective. So Dhritarashtra was very happy that Bhishma Dev cannot be defeated by anybody because he's their parent. He's like a fatherly figure, so they will not kill Bhishma Dev, and because of which there is no point that Duryodhana might fall in the war. Only when he comes to know that the Bhishma Dev has fallen in the war, that is when he asks about what is the status of the war. That is when Sanjaya narrates all this Bhagavad Gita to Dhritarashtra. So is that correct or I'm missing something?
Yeah, so this particular aspect, I will have to check up the Shastric reference exactly how it is, because I have also heard that See, the Mahabharata that I have on my Veda base does not describe this particular aspect as to when exactly Sanjaya started to describe this to Dhritarashtra. And for many years, I thought that it is from day one. But then recently, I heard in a class that Sanjaya was in and out of the battlefield and only after Bhishma Dev fell. So this part, I would like to myself read the Shastric reference, and I will try to verify it from my superiors, and I will get back to you on this because I'm not very sure about this particular aspect. Okay.
Thank you, Mataji.
So what is the question anyway?
Oh, my question was like, no, we saw in the last line that Dhritarashtra was very happy. But having known that even though Arjuna has dropped his bow, but then now he has learned that Arjuna has injured Bhishma Dev. So there is no question of him being happy because he is just in the middle of the story and he has already seen the part consequence of the story. So his emotions might not be very important here because he is starting to hear about the day-to-day occurrences of the war only when he has seen that one of his major candidates in the war has fallen. So he might already see, we see now, that
Yeah,
his
so-
emotions might be known.
Yeah, correct. So one way of answering this question would be that probably Dhritarashtra is thinking that Arjuna is not going to fight with that much intensity, or that he's ready to put his arms aside, or that at some point in the war also he may decide to put his arms aside.
Okay.
So probably Dhritarashtra is thinking that, oh, he's already so dejected. So probably he will not fight with so much intensity. That could be one way of trying to analyze what is Dhritarashtra's state of mind. If he's feeling happy, is because, okay, so, you know, he's not going all out to fight the war, probably at that time Dhritarashtra could be thinking. See, the thing is, I have a guidebook of Bhagavad Gita. In that it is written that Dhritarashtra at this particular point of time, he was very happy and elated that Arjuna is in this particular state of mind.
Correct. Okay. Thank you.
So that book, if you want, you can purchase it. It's a very nice guidebook. It's called Gita Subodhini by Gauranga Darshan Das. You can get it at your ISKCON temple. See, this is the book. Okay, I will share the picture in the group. Okay. All right. So coming back to Gita Mahatmya, as I said, this is a conversation between Lord Shiva and Parvati. Varsha, you have a question?
Yeah, I was saying if we go with this theory, then the other thing that Sanjaya got the divine vision from his guru Vyasadeva would not hold true then.
No, it does hold true. Sanjaya did receive the divine vision. It does hold true. The thing is, the question here is, when did Sanjaya start narrating the events to Dhritarashtra? Was it on the 10th day or was it on the first day? And Sanjaya was Sanjaya continuously with Dhritarashtra, or Sanjaya was in and out of the battlefield?
But if he had the divine vision, then he didn't need to move from his place.
No, he was participating in the war. That's why he was in and out of the battlefield.
Okay.
Is the theory that I heard in another class. But I want to read it from the Shastra. If I can find it, I will research it.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. All right. So, coming back to Gita Mahatmya, this is a conversation between Lord Shiva and Parvati, but it is a sub-conversation because the original conversation was between Lord Vishnu and Goddess Lakshmi. So Lord Shiva is repeating what he heard in another conversation to Goddess Parvati because she is inquiring about it. Okay. So what is the Falashruti is, the story goes, once in the town of Pandharpur, a very learned Brahmana lived. His name was Devashyama. So Devashyama was a very good Brahmana. He would always receive guests and he would treat them with a lot of respect. And he would perform all kinds of yagyas, all kinds of fire sacrifices. And because of his behavior, he was able to please the demigods. And the demigods were very satisfied by his behavior. But he himself was not happy and peaceful. Because he had the desire to obtain knowledge about the relationship between the Atma and the Paramatma. He wanted to know more about the relationship between the soul and the super soul. And in order to gain this knowledge, he would invite many yogis, many tapasvis, many devotees to his house, and he would inquire from them about the absolute truth. And like this, he passed many years of his life. One day, while walking, he happened to see one yogi on the way, and the yogi was sitting cross-legged with his eyes half open, and he was concentrating on the tip of his nose, and he was totally absorbed in meditation. So Devashyama was able to perceive that this particular person is completely peaceful and he has no material desires. So he approaches him, he fell at his feet and he inquires from him, how could he attain complete peace of mind is his question. So this yogi tells him that you please go and meet a person in the village of Sopur and you take instructions from him on this subject matter. He will be able to answer your question. So he tells him that this particular person, his name is Mitravan, and he's a goat herder by profession. So Devashyama respectfully takes leave of the yogi and immediately he leaves for this place called Sopur. When he arrives there, he saw Mitravan seated on top of some rocks on the bank of a river in a forest. What is he doing there? He's herding the goats. So he has goats over there and he's sitting on top of the rock. And he sees that Mitravan is looking very peaceful and beautiful. Gentle breeze was blowing. There's a beautiful aroma in every direction. And goats are very peacefully moving here and there. And some goats were actually sitting next to ferocious tigers, but they were totally unafraid. So seeing this scene, Devashyama also became very peaceful. And then he respectfully approaches Mitravan and he asks him a question. His question is how to attain devotion to Lord Shri Krishna. Now Mitravan starts to reply and he says that long ago in this very forest, I was with the goats when suddenly a ferocious tiger attacked. All the goats started running in different directions out of fear of the tiger and I also ran. Then from a distance, he turns back. So Mitravan is saying that I turned back to see what was happening and he sees that a tiger is after one of his goats. But suddenly, one of the most amazing thing happens is that the goat suddenly loses all his anger and he loses his desire to also eat the goat. So then the goat inquires from the tiger, why are you not eating me? You have your food right in front of you. Why are you not eating me? So the tiger says that, yes, that was what my intention was, but suddenly all my anger has disappeared and I am not feeling any hunger or thirst. So then the goat says, yes, even I am feeling completely fearless and peaceful. So what could be the reason? The tiger says, even I do not know what the reason is behind both of us having this change of emotion. So let's go and ask this person over there. So they go to Mitravan, who's still standing there, and then they inquire from Mitravan. And Mitravan says that I don't know the answer to this question, but there is a monkey on the branch of the tree. Let's go and ask him. So they approach the monkey and the monkey replies to the question. And the monkey says that in this forest that's in front of you, there was a very big temple. And in this temple, Lord Brahma himself had installed a Shiva Linga. And there was a sage called Sukama who used to live in that temple. And every day he used to worship the Shiva Linga. He used to worship Lord Shiva by bringing flowers from the forest and water from the river. And he performed many, many austerities. So in this way, Sukama lived many years of his life serving Lord Shiva. And one day a sage arrived there and Sukama offered him some fruits and water. The sage ate it and he took rest. And after some time, Sukama spoke to this particular sage. And he is telling him that, O learned one, only for the reason of obtaining knowledge of Lord Krishna, I am living over here, performing austerities and worshipping. But the result of my austerities of all these years of worship have been attained only today by coming in contact with you. So by hearing this, the sage is very pleased and he's very impressed with Sukama's humility and submissive words. So then he wrote something on a rock for Sukama. Can you guess what the sage would have written on the rock?
A shlok of the second chapter, maybe.
A shlok of the second chapter. Okay. Only one shlok?
I guess the whole chapter would be too much to write, no, Mataji?
No, he actually wrote the entire chapter. So only shlok, no, only the Sanskrit. So it's not so much. So he
Okay.
writes the entire chapter of chapter 2 and that rock, and he tells him that you recite this every day. And then the sage leaves. So after that, Sukama recited those verses every day for the rest of his life. And from the day he started to recite those verses, he felt no hunger or thirst. And very quickly, he attained complete knowledge of Lord Krishna. Now, due to the austerities and devotion of Sukama in that place, the monkey is saying that anyone who visits this place does not feel the pangs of hunger and thirst, and immediately he attains complete peace. So when austerity is performed in one particular place, then even that place gets purified. That's why when we go to a temple, we feel peaceful, because in that temple, so many austerities are done. The Lord is worshipped, so many prayers are offered, so many mantras are recited. Therefore, the place is purified. Therefore, when we go to a temple, we feel very, very peaceful. In the same way, if we practice in our homes, austerities, Krishna consciousness, devotional practices, if we chant the holy name, then when we will feel that peace even in our homes. So then coming back to our story, now Mitravan is saying, is telling to Devashyam that, my dear Devashyam, after the monkey finished telling us that wonderful history, I went to the temple along with the tiger. So now he has gone to the temple along with the tiger and the goat, and he has found that particular stone on which the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita was written, and he also started to recite it every day. In this way, he says that we were able to attain devotion to Lord Krishna. And then he tells him that, my dear Brahmana, if you also start reciting verses of the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, you will also very quickly attain the mercy of Lord Sri Krishna. So this is the Falashruti, or the benefit of reading, learning, reciting, hearing chapter 2 of the Bhagavad Gita, that one can quickly attain the mercy of Lord Sri Krishna. This chapter 2 is divided into 5 sections. In the first section, we will see Arjuna's further doubts and surrender to Krishna. So we will see Arjuna's fifth reason why he does not want to fight here in this section. And eventually he surrenders to Krishna in the 7th verse. The 7th verse is considered to be the turning point of the Bhagavad Gita, when Arjuna actually surrenders to Krishna. Is Krishna, right now, what is the relationship between Arjuna and Krishna? Are they guru and disciple?
No, they are friends.
They are only friends still, isn't it? Still, Krishna is not Arjuna's guru, because Arjuna has not yet surrendered to Krishna. Therefore, Krishna has not yet started giving any instructions to Arjuna. But in 2.7, when Arjuna actually surrenders to Krishna, the turning point of the Bhagavad Gita, that's when Krishna begins to instruct Arjuna. So here in the second section, Krishna gives the first knowledge. He talks about the difference between the body and the soul. That is the first instruction. First spiritual knowledge is, you are not this body, you are spirit soul. So Krishna goes right away to the root of the problem by telling Arjuna that you are not the body, you are spirit soul. Then we will see something called as a yoga ladder in this section. In this section, Karma Kanda, say here in this section, section 2, Krishna will deal with Arjuna's compassion reason, argument for not fighting the war. Here in Karma Kanda, he defeats Arjuna's enjoyment reason as to why this war, why Arjuna's reason to not fight the war is not a valid reason. Okay, so here he counters the enjoyment reason. Then here in 4th section, he counters Arjuna's family tradition reason, and also he counters what's that reason? The sinful reactions. Sinful reaction reason and family enjoyment he counters in section 4. The family tradition, Krishna also gives another reason in chapter 3. So that reason is the reason why this family tradition reason is not valid. Krishna encounters it in chapter 2 and chapter 3. Okay. And Arjuna's fifth reason not to fight, which Arjuna will come up with here in section 1, that Krishna deals with in the last chapter, in the 18th chapter, in the final chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Okay, then this is also a very nice section, Sthita Pragya. What are the qualities of one person who's fixed up in Krishna consciousness or who's fixed up in his spiritual life? That Krishna enumerates in the last section. We need some volunteers to read, one volunteer to read. Who can volunteer to read today?
Can I read?
I can
Mataji?
read.
Okay, I heard two voices.
Okay.
So which were the two voices? I couldn't catch them. I'm sorry.
One
It was
voice.
me and her.
Bhumika.
Bhumika. Okay, so because Sri Hari Radha Mataji has already read in our classes, maybe Bhumika can read today. Is that
Of
okay?
course. Yes, please.
Okay, thank you, Bhumika.
Thank you.
Let's read section 1. Are you there, Bhumika?
Yes. Arjuna's further doubts and surrender to Krishna. Arjuna's further reasons for not fighting, surrenders to Krishna. Practical application of section 1. When one realizes that there is no shelter in the material world, including the mind and intelligence, he will take full shelter of spiritual authority.
So when one realizes that there is no shelter in the material world, he will take full shelter of spiritual authority, because many times we tend to think that, oh yes, I have a good bank balance, or I have beauty, I have fame, I have intelligence, or I have a very powerful husband to protect me, or I have a very powerful wife who's always going to be with me. So, or my children are going to be there. I have my sons will take care of me in the old age. So we tend to think that so many of these things will protect us. But then when we realize that nothing at all in the material world can save us except taking full shelter of the Lord, then one surrenders to the Lord. Just as how we saw Arjuna. Now Arjuna, he belongs to a royal family. He's the greatest warrior. He's a Kshatriya. He has these brothers, most powerful brothers. What can go wrong? But you can see how Arjuna also finds himself in a hopeless position. So therefore, he took shelter of Krishna. Even Draupadi, when they attempted to disrobe her. Now she is married to 5 mighty husbands who have no equal in the world, but still, and she's also belonging to a royal family. She comes from a royal family. She's married in a royal family. She's the queen. And still she found herself in a hopeless situation where nobody could protect her. So we are no exceptions. Therefore, we should not think that our position, our wealth, our children, our gun will protect us. Okay, only protection is the Lord. So therefore, we must surrender to the Lord. Okay, let's hear the shloka.
अथ द्वितीयोऽध्यायः सञ्जय उवाच तं तथा कृपयाविष्टम् अश्रुपूर्णाकुलेक्षणम् विषीदन्तमिदं वाक्यम् उवाच मधुसूदनः.
Sanjaya said, seeing Arjuna full of compassion, his mind depressed, his eyes full of tears, Madhusudhana, Krishna spoke the following words.
So the second chapter's first verse, or the second chapter, begins with Arjuna's eyes full of tears. See this. Ashru Purna Kulekshanam. So we see Arjuna's eyes are full of tears in the beginning of chapter 2. Why are his eyes full of tears because he's completely overwhelmed by compassion. Kripaya Vishtam. He is completely overwhelmed by compassion. And he is lamenting, Vishidantam. So Arjuna is lamenting that he is in this particular situation. Now Sanjaya is describing this to Dhritarashtra, and he is saying that Uvacha. So seeing Arjuna in this condition, Ashrupurna Kulekshanam and Vishidantam, then now Sanjay is saying Dhritarashtra, Uvacha Madhusudana. Madhusudana has now started to speak. Uvacha means spoke. So Sanjay is saying that now Madhusudana has started to speak. Now, what does this name Madhusudana mean?
Killer of Madhu.
Yeah, killer of Madhu. Who's Madhu?
Krishna.
No, who is Madhu?
A
Krishna is
demon.
Madhusudana.
A demon. A demon.
Yeah, Madhu is a demon. So therefore, Krishna is called as Madhusudana because he killed the demon Madhu. But here in this context, he is using the word Madhusudana because now Krishna is going to kill the demon-like doubts in Arjuna's mind. So by using this word Madhusudana, Sanjaya is informing Dhritarashtra that now Krishna is going to remove all these demon-like doubts that are going on in the mind of Arjuna. So therefore, Sanjaya is saying Dhritarashtra, Uvacha Madhusudana. Now, is it wrong to have compassion? Because Kripaya Vishtam, he is overwhelmed with compassion. Is compassion a good quality to have or a bad quality to have?
Good quality.
It's a good quality to have. So can we always use compassion or depending on time, place and circumstances?
Depending on
always
time,
a good
place,
quality to have?
circumstances. No.
No, it's not always good to have. It's depending on time, place, and situation.
Okay, so can you give me one example where it's not good to be compassionate?
In the battlefield.
In the battlefield of Kurukshetra, it's not good for Arjuna to be compassionate. Okay. Any other examples?
Whenever he sees some wrong being done and he is following the Kshatriya Dharma. He's a Kshatriya and his job is to stop atrocities. And he sees atrocities and he is capable of stopping them, then he should not show compassion at that point of time.
Okay, very nice.
Not only that, but Jar Bharat showed compassion to the deer, and for that reason he fell down. And if he hadn't shown that compassion, he would have not fallen down, and he would have had attained Krishna in that very lifetime. Because when he saw the deer fell on the water, and he thinking that he could save him, he could keep him with him, he could feed him. That was a fault. That was not the right compassion he should have shown.
Okay, so coming to the story of Jadabharata, very nice example. Jadabharata, for the benefit of those who do not know the story from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Bharat Maharaj, he went to the forest and in the final stage of his life to perform austerities and to perfect his human life. But he once came across a deer who was, the mother had just given birth to the deer and the mother died, and then Bharat Maharaj, he took care of the baby deer, because otherwise the baby deer would have died in the forest. But what happened was, so far it's fine that he showed compassion and he was taking care of him. But the problem was that the deer started to play so much on the mind of Bharat Maharaj that it started to interfere with his austerities. He was not able to concentrate on his own sadhana. So therefore, when he died, the last thought on his mind was who was going to take care of the deer. And therefore, he had to take birth as a deer again. Remember, once in a previous class, we spoke about how the last thought, Krishna's law of last thought, which he speaks in chapter 8, that what is on your mind, the last thing on your mind is what determines your next destination. So because Bharat Maharaj was thinking about the deer at the time of his death, he had to take birth as a deer. Now, coming to our topic, compassion, see, the fact that he showed compassion to the deer was fine. It was good. In fact, one must show some compassion to the living entities. Otherwise, the deer would have died, isn't it? But the problem there was that compassion was so much that it started to play on his mind. So we have to be compassionate to other living entities. We have to take care of our families. We have to do our material duties as well. Yes, we have to take care of our children, our families, etc. But don't let it overpower our own sadhana. We have to love our family, but the love for the Lord should be much more than love for the family. So Bharat Maharaj's sadhana was more important than the love for the deer, but it became vice versa. It should have been that way. So yes. Any more examples? In our daily life, day-to-day life, how do we apply this in our own life?
Hare Krishna, Sana.
Hare Krishna, Divya.
With our kids.
With our kids, okay. Can you elaborate a little more?
Detachment.
You have to be strict with them when needed, and you have to show compassion when needed.
Show compassion when needed and be strict when needed, okay, so that they can take to spiritual life and perfect their human life. Okay, more examples? Okay, we will see a very gross example, okay. Now, there is a serial killer in the prison house, and the government decides that, oh, we have to be compassionate to all the prisoners. So they decide to release even the serial killer out of compassion. Without, he has not undergone any kind of reformation and he has not completed his term in the prison house, but out of compassion, the government decides to release him. And then after he is released, he goes on and kills many more people. So was this compassion correct?
No.
No. So this is an example of misdirected compassion. So we should know when and where we have to use compassion. Okay. See, there are two ways to show compassion. One is the ignorant way and one is the knowledgeable way. Another gross example, somebody is coughing. One way to make the person stop coughing is to just stuff his mouth with some cloth. The person will stop coughing, isn't it? But that is the ignorant way of making the person to stop his cough. A knowledgeable way of showing compassion is by taking the person to the doctor, get him proper treatment, get him the proper medicine, and then cure him of the disease. That is the knowledgeable way of showing compassion. Now, the way of Arjuna showing compassion is ignorant way or knowledgeable way?
It's an ignorant way.
Ignorant way.
It's an ignorant way. Why? Why is it ignorant?
Because he's lamenting for the body, skin disease.
He is lamenting for the body. What would happen? See, what is the end result? If Arjuna decides to not fight the war out of compassion, what is going to happen?
The throne will go to the wrong hand. The throne will go to the wrong hand, and he will be degraded, and he will be not going to Swargalok, but he will be going to Narklok. I think Krishna said, somewhere.
Yes. But does Arjuna care whether he goes to Narka or Swarga? Does it matter?
No, at this moment,
No.
he is so laminated that he is overcome with lamentation. He cannot think the way a Kshatriya or the prince thinks. He cannot think in that mode, in that mindset.
Yes. Arjuna's concern is, see, he's showing compassion. So because he doesn't want to kill the elders, but then what will happen to the vast majority of the people in the kingdom who have a sinful and evil king like Duryodhana?
They will get exploited. Krishna says that the king will exploit them, will use them, will do suffering upon them, and these four listed things will come over. That Prabhupada has said to let go, to give up.
Yes, exactly. So the knowledgeable way of showing compassion for Arjuna would be to fight the war and get this evil-minded Duryodhan out of the way so that the vast majority of the people in the kingdom, they can live peacefully. So therefore, Arjuna's compassion is ignorant. It's not knowledgeable. It's not that one should not have compassion. Yes, one should have compassion. Compassion is a very good quality to have, but we should know where and when to apply this compassion. See,
Also-
Srila Prabhupada, yeah, what's that?
Also, at the same time, he's a bad example for the future kings for being a Kshatriya, and he's retracting from his duties.
Yes, he will set a wrong example for all the future generations, even for us. No, even we will think that, okay, whenever there is injustice, we should just remain tight-lipped and we should not act upon it. So it's also setting a bad example for the future kings and also for all future human population. But now, because Arjuna fought the war, then we know that sometimes violence is necessary to establish peace. For example, that doesn't mean that we go all out and we start hitting and choking and start hitting and slapping and punching everyone left, right, and center. Always we have to use our intelligence. See, there is a story in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Is it Bhagavatam or is it Chaitanya Charitamrita where I read it? Anyway, I'm not sure about that, but the story goes that Narada Muni had a serpent. I'm going to advance in the story. There was a serpent, a very vicious serpent in the village, and this serpent used to bite everyone. So therefore, the villagers were very, very afraid of the serpent, and they were not able to do anything to solve the problem. And one day it so happened that Narada Muni was passing by, and he comes across this serpent. And then Narada Muni, of course, he is the transcendental touchstone. No, anybody who comes in touch with Narada Muni becomes a devotee. He is empowered to make devotees. So Narada Muni preaches to the serpent, and so now the serpent has a change of heart, and he stops troubling the villagers. Now the villagers realize that now this vicious serpent is no more going to bite us, is no more going to trouble us. So now what they do is they start pelting stones at the serpent, and now the serpent is starving, and on top of that they are mistreating the serpent. After a few days, Narada Muni again passes by the same place, and he sees that his disciple, now the serpent is his disciple, so he sees that his disciple is almost on the verge of death. He's almost dying. So he tells him that what happened, and then the serpent says that the villagers are treating me like this now, and I have no food to eat, I have nowhere to go, and I'm being mistreated, and therefore I'm almost going to die. That time Narada Muni told him that I told you to stop biting, but I didn't tell you to stop hissing. So show your fangs wherever it is necessary, so that people do not overpower you completely. So we should always use our intelligence. See, in a relationship, let's say there is a couple, a husband and a wife. If one is dominating and the other one decides to remain tight-lipped, not always counter-arguing, who is the more intelligent one in the relationship?
Who is not arguing?
The one who is not arguing back, isn't it? Because that way there can be some peace in the house. So we must always use our intelligence as to when we are going to retaliate and when we are going to tolerate. Always tolerating is not a good policy. Always retaliating also is not a good policy. Okay, anyway, coming back to our chapter, Srila Prabhupada explains this story of a drowning man so that we can understand how one should, when one should lament and when one should not lament. See, we saw how Arjuna is lamenting his current position. Let's read the text.
Compassion for the dress of drowning man is senseless. A man fallen in the ocean of nescience cannot be saved simply by rescuing the outward dress, the gross material body. One who does not know this and laments for the outward dress is called a Sudra, or one who laments unnecessarily. Arjuna was a Kshatriya, and this expected from him.
So Arjuna is lamenting for the outward dress. What is this outward dress? Is the gross material body. What we see in the mirror is our gross material body. So what Arjuna is seeing is the gross material body. He is not seeing that what he is going to kill is the body and not the soul. So Arjuna is lamenting for the body, whereas the first lesson of spiritual life is we are not this body, we are spirit soul. Can Arjuna kill the soul of Bhishma, the soul of Dronacharya? Can Arjuna do that?
No.
No, because the soul never dies. Okay, so this is the example. So the example is this person is drowning in the river and he's calling out for help. So his wife comes by and he says, oh, my husband is drowning. So then she seeks for help from somebody who's passing by. And this person says, don't worry, ma'am, I'll save that poor guy. I'm a social worker. Saving people is my business. Look, when people are hungry, they come to me. If they need a shirt on their back, they come to me. If the Sharif throws them out of the street, they come to me. If they need, so he continues to talk when actually that person is driving. So finally, then he he takes off his clothes and he jumps into the river to save Marvin. Now, as he's bringing Marvin out to the shore, the victim is struggling. So what he does, he subdues him with a punch. And then what he does, he only brings out his shirt out of the river. And he says, everything is okay. I have taken care of him. Here he is. So I told you I will save him, says the social worker to the wife. Now, what is the wife going to say? You fool, you didn't save Marvin. You didn't save my husband. You have just saved his coat. So how do we apply this story to what we are discussing? Is that when we help a person, let's say we are showing compassion to a person who's very poor, we give him something to eat, or we give him some clothes, or we give him some shelter. Are we helping the body of the person, or are we helping the soul of the person?
We are just helping the body of
the person.
We are only helping the body of the person, because no matter how much we give this person food, shelter, or clothing, unless and until he does not have some spiritual knowledge, unless and until he does not know how to end the cycle of birth and death, again he is going to take birth, and again he is going to suffer the pangs of material nature. What are the 4 major problems of material existence? Anybody knows? 4 big problems.
Birth, death,
Birth,
suffering,
death,
Disease and old age.
disease, and old age. Yeah.
exactly. Birth, death, disease, and old age. See, nobody wants to die. Nobody likes to get a disease. Nobody likes to grow old. But still, old age, disease, death is forced upon us. Why we don't like to die, why we don't like to grow old, why we don't like to get disease is because we are the spirit souls, and the soul does not die. The soul does not get any disease. The soul does not grow old. The soul does not have to take birth again, because taking birth again means we have to again redo the whole thing all over again. See, some of us now, most of us have crossed so many years, school, college, then bringing up children. Now the children are big. If we were told that to go back and again do the same thing all over again, go back to school, go back to college, again get your degree, again get your job, again make all your hard-earned money, start earning from the first rupee that you ever made, again bring up your children, again go back to changing the diapers. Is it a very happy proposal for us? Would we like to do it?
No, not at all.
Yeah, I definitely would not like to do it. Okay.
Even me too.
Okay. So, but when we take birth again, we have to repeat the whole process. Again, take birth, again go to school, again go to college, again struggle with material nature, again have some disease, again deal with old age. So taking birth again means again going through all those material problems. But when we give a person spiritual knowledge and we inspire somebody to take to spirituality, to chant the holy name, to follow the regulative principles, then the person can come out of this ocean of birth and death. So what kind of help is most important? When we help the body or when we help the soul? What is
When we
most
help
important?
the soul.
When we help the soul, isn't it? That's why preaching is considered to be the greatest social service that you can do. The greatest service that you can do to anyone is by preaching about the Lord. And this is the reason why Krishna tells in chapter 18, in the last chapter, Krishna says that no servant is more dear to me than one who gives this knowledge, one who gives this message. Okay. So yes, it is good to help someone who's in poverty, who doesn't have clothes. That's fine. But beyond that, we should take the step further and also give the person some spiritual knowledge. That's why when Brahmanas, they come home to do any ceremony, any yagya, we call the Brahmanas home. It is the duty of the Brahmana to give some spiritual knowledge to the family that he is visiting. Another example is if we come across a lost child, the child has lost his home, he has lost his way, he does not know how to go back home. Now we may give the child some food, some shelter, some place to stay, but the child would be happiest when the child is reunited with his lost father. Yes or no?
Yes, yes.
That will solve all his problems. So like that, when we help someone to reunite with God, to reunite with God our Father, then that is the thing that will make the person happiest. So it's the best service. So we should not show compassion for the body, we should show compassion for the soul. When we show compassion for the body, then it's as good as this person, the social worker, who has gone and brought the coat of this person but has not brought Marvin out of the water. Let's read the moral.
While a social worker can alleviate a person's material problems or save his coat, he can't begin to help the real person living inside the body, the soul. Only by taking up a spiritual process can we do that. Then we can realize our spiritual nature and see the spiritual nature of others. In this age, the easiest and the most recommended process of spiritual realization is to chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
So the easiest and most recommended process of spiritual realization is to chant the Maha Mantra. Says who? Why should we accept this?
It says who? The Shastras and Chaitanya and Prabhupada and scriptures everywhere. Our ISKCON is entire ISKCON की जो ईंट है इसी चीज से बनी हुई है.
Okay, but why should I believe in something that ISKCON says?
Because the disciple succession. The disciple succession, because it's the truth. If you don't want to believe the truth, you're going to believe the lie. And if you want to believe the lie, you're not going to believe the truth. So Prabhupada is the truth.
Yeah, but there are other disciplic successions also. Why should I believe the disciplic succession of ISKCON?
Because it's the best. It gives you the right food for soul realization, to see Krishna, to meet Krishna, to be in Golok Vrindavan, to be in his leelas.
Yeah, but I can counter argue and I can say that no, but I belong to some other organization. Why should I believe in ISKCON?
If you belong to some other organization, you should join ISKCON and see what ISKCON has to give you, and then taste it. If you taste the Anand, then you'll see what is giving you, how you're going to progress, how you're going to do advancement.
See, every salesman is going to say my product is the best. Okay. Every person says my organization is the best. Join my organization. But can we think beyond the organization?
Can you give us a clue?
No, we'll come to it. So see, ISKCON is an organization. I belong to ISKCON. Okay. I made a choice. I accepted a spiritual master in this organization. But for somebody else, for somebody who's counter arguing, see, somebody may say, I thought like that. At least when I was searching for my guru, I thought that, whoa, every person is going to say my product is the best. Every salesman says buy my product. So why should I join ISKCON? So we have to verify from where. How do we make our choice? How do we make our decision?
When we are getting Anand someplace, when
we have to from the proper source.
Yeah, from
So
the
what is
proper
the
source.
proper source?
Shastra.
The
Shastra.
dispel.
Association.
Shastra.
The bona
Very
fide,
good.
bona fide
Shastra.
teacher of-
What
The
else?
bona fide guru. The
The
bona
bona
fide
Bona fide guru, but I
dispel.
still don't have a guru. So
The
Association.
dispel succession.
yeah, but for a person who doesn't have a guru, who does not belong to disciplic succession, who's still searching, how do I make a choice? How do I choose?
Association.
Shabda
Yeah, Shabda.
The Shabda Praman.
Yes.
Shabda Praman means what? Very nice, Shabda Praman. So Shabda Praman means what?
Shabda Parnam means that unchangeable knowledge.
Where is that knowledge coming from?
It's coming from the Shastra. It's coming from
Shastra,
the
Guru, and
It's coming from Shastra. Where is Shastra coming from?
from Krishna.
from the Guru.
Now we have come. It's coming from Krishna. So who has said that chanting the Maha Mantra is the best method
Chaitanya
for self-realization?
Mahaprabhu ki jai ho.
Yes, now we have come to the point. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is none other than Krishna himself. So it doesn't matter whether I belong to ISKCON or I don't belong to ISKCON, but because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself, and he has said this, that Maha Mantra is the best way to attain God in Kali Yuga. Therefore, we go by this statement. Therefore, I accept it as authority. Okay? Can anybody say that God has made a mistake?
No, no, no.
Is God having imperfect senses?
No,
Does
no,
he
no,
have a
no.
tendency to cheat?
No,
Does
no.
he have a tendency to make mistakes? No,
No,
he is
no.
on the defects of the living entity, isn't it? So therefore, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself has said this, therefore we accept as authority that statement that this Maha Mantra is the best way to realize God in Kali Yuga. Now, every yuga, now we know that there are 4 yugas, right? Satya Yuga, then we have Treta Yuga, then we have Dwapara Yuga, and finally we have Kali Yuga. Now, every yuga has its method of realizing God. Krishna Kumar, you have a question?
Yeah, I think it is slightly related to this name, chanting the name. I think I'm not sure if ISKCON itself believes that Radha's name, we are saying no, Ram, Ram Nam is equal to the 1,000 names of Lord Mahavishnu. Krishna is equivalent to 3 times of Lord Rama, and Radha name Radha itself is equivalent to 3 times of saying Krishna. Okay,
No. Where did you get that
ISKCON
from?
also believes that.
No.
I think I heard some chants. The Vishnu Sahasranam says that Sri Rama Rama Ramiti Rame Rama Sahasranam Tattulyam Rama Nam Varanam. So 1,000 names of Vishnu is Ram. Krishna,
Yes.
I think we say that it is equivalent to 3 times of telling Ram. Instead of
Yes.
chanting 3 times Rama, you can chant 1 time Krishna and it's equal.
Yes.
And Radha Devi is Radha. The name Radha is synonymous to 3 times of saying Krishna.
No, there is no Shastric evidence to that. We don't have that information.
Okay. That is not
The first 2 statements of yours are on the dot.
okay.
Very accurate. 1,008 names of Vishnu is equal to 1 name of Lord Ram. 1 name of Lord Ram is equal, I'm sorry, 1 name of Krishna is equal to 3 names of Lord Ram. You get the same benefit. But that Srimati Radharani's name is equal, that I have never read, and I don't think in ISKCON we have that reference. It's not there anywhere. In fact, Srimati Radharani's name is not mentioned even once in the entire Srimad Bhagavatam.
No, because I think when Krishna does his Leela, if you say like that, then we do not have the name of Yashoda Mai also, no? Maybe in Bhagavatam.
No, her name is there. Damodar Leela, Yashoda is there, no?
Okay. So Radha
That's
name is not
Bhagavatam.
there at all. Okay. In Braj, if you
Srimati
saw, no,
Radharani's name is not mentioned.
yeah, if you visit Braj Bhumi, then I think all of them consider that Radha is the foremost, and that Nidhivan, there is an image of Krishna and Radha, and it is shown that Krishna is massaging the foot of Radharani.
Yes, correct.
So in bridge, at least everybody believes that calling Radha is more faster in achieving Godhead rather than calling Krishna. That's why they always say Radha Radha and do not utter the word Krishna at all.
See,
Maybe
the
chanting
thing
and all they will
is,
do. Yeah.
see, the point is, we have to chant a mantra. Okay, mantra. Mantra means, man means mind and tra means to liberate. So mantra is that which liberates the mind. So we have to chant a mantra. When you call out the name of Srimati Radharani, first of all, when we say Hare, here, this Hare here refers to Srimati Radharani only. Okay, so every time you use Hare in the Maha Mantra, you are referring to none other than Srimati Radharani. So her name is there in the Maha Mantra. It is there, but not by the name Radha or Radharani or Srimati Radharani, but she is referred to as the word Hare. So she is definitely there in the Maha Mantra. And you see, how many words are there in this Maha Mantra? Total of 16 words are there. How many times the word Hare comes? 8 times, half. So exactly 50% is her name and 50% is the name of the Lord. 4 times Krishna, 4 times Ram. So here, her name is there in the Maha Mantra, but not by the name of Radha or Srimati Radharani. If that's what you want to say. Okay.
Yeah.
Now coming to the position of Srimati Radharani, we know that Krishna is Madana Mohana. He is the attractor of thousands of cupids, but she is Madana Mohana Mohini. She is that personality who attracts the one who attracts thousands of cupids. Okay. So definitely, she is a very, very exalted personality, and she is definitely there in the Maha Mantra. Now, the reason why she is not mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam is not because she is not important. Okay. The reason why she is not mentioned even once in the Bhagavatam is because now Sukadeva Goswami is narrating the Bhagavatam to Maharaj Parikshit. Maharaj Parikshit is cursed to die within 7 days. And so they have only 7 days and 7 nights to hear this entire Bhagavatam. The reason why he does not mention, the Sukadeva Goswami does not mention her name is because he is afraid that if he takes the name of Srimati Radharani, he will fall into so much ecstasy that he will faint. So just by taking the name of Srimati Radharani, he is afraid that he will faint. And therefore they will lose time and they will not be able to finish what they have to do within those 7 days stipulated period. And that's the reason why he does not mention her name. So her name, you cannot take it so casually. See, Vrajabhumi, people of Vraj, people in Vrindavan, they have a different relationship. Their love is spontaneous. At least for me, most people, the love is not so spontaneous. The love has to be developed by doing sadhana. We don't have that kind of spontaneous love. See, in Vraj, what the Vrajavasis do. See, when we offer the food to the Lord, we have the Lord's plate separate. we put the food items in the Lord's plate and we keep it in front of the Lord and we say some prayers and we request the Lord, you please accept this. But what the Vrajavasis do, they will eat and from the same spoon, they will feed the deity. So can we do, our juta, what we come and touch, what the spoon in which we are coming in contact with our saliva, can we give that to the Lord, to the deity, touching the deity, our saliva to the Lord's? Can we do
No,
that?
Mataji, no, Mataji. Prabhupada has never taught us that. Prabhupada didn't teach us that.
On that spontaneous?
No.
No, we are not. Most human population is not on that spontaneous platform. So we have to cultivate it by doing sadhana. What the Vrajavasis do, that is, their love is spontaneous. They can do that. We cannot do that because we are not at that, at least I am not at that level. But if you have spontaneous love like the Vrajavasis who are staying there, and you really think, it should not be something that you think that love is just like how a mother's love for the child is spontaneous. So like that, they have that kind of spontaneous love for Srimati Radharani. So that is different. See, we don't even refer to Srimati Radharani by her name. We just don't say Radha. Okay, because Srila Prabhupada has taught us to refer to her as Srimati Radharani. We apply double honorific titles, Srimati, then Radha, then Rani. So we are applying honorific title before and after her name, because we have to be very, very careful when we speak about her, when we refer to her. We have to be very careful. We should not like even a person like Sukadeva Goswami did not want to take her name for this reason. So we should not imitate the Vrajavasis. We should be very careful. Okay. But anyway, her name is there in the Mahamantra.
Yeah, I have also heard that Hare is different.
Okay. So what I was saying is every yuga there has its method of realizing God. What was the method of realizing God in Satya Yuga?
Doing yajnas?
No.
No, Mataji, what was your question?
What is the method of realizing God in Satya Yuga?
Oh, Sati Yuga, you have to do
Sadhana, doing sadhana.
Meditation.
What kind? Meditation, yes, meditation. Silent meditation was the way to realize God in Satya Yuga. What was the method of self-realization in Treta Yuga?
Yagyas and
fire
Yes,
sacrifices.
yes, very nice. What is the method of self-realization in Dwapara Yuga?
Deity worship.
Deity worship. And in Kali Yuga?
Chanting the name of Krishna, Hare Krishna Mahamantra.
Exactly. So it's not that the method is wrong. All four methods are bona fide methods of realizing God. The problem is in the yuga. The problem is in the age. In Kali Yuga, we cannot do the previous three methods of realizing God to perfection. Why? What is the problem with deity worship in Kali Yuga? Tell me. To perfection. Of course, even now, there are people who do meditation, there are people who do deity worship, there are people who do yajnas. But we cannot perfect it in Kali Yuga. What is the problem with perfecting deity worship?
Mind disturbed.
No,
Mind is
because of the
very
time,
disturbed.
the time
Mind
available
gets
to us is
disturbed. What's that, Krishna Kumar?
the time available to us is limited. For deity worship and for meditation and for yajnas, you have to do over a continuous period of time. Like people used to live for longer duration, like 1,000 years in the Dwapar and Treta Yuga and all. So they had that much time left to do the penance and then continue with their life. But in the Kali Yuga, we have a limited life of less than 100 years. And 100 years we cannot spend in meditation or yajna.
Okay.
Because of that.
Yes. That? Continue. Sorry.
Because of that, we have to use the shortest method to achieve this thing, achieve Godhead this lifetime. So Harinam Kirtanam is the only one which helps us in that.
Okay. How many years of meditation does it require one to do to perfect your life?
When in this Kali Yuga, you saying?
No. How many years? Don't talk about the yoga. Forget the yoga now. How many years of meditation I need to do to perfect my life?
Thousands of years.
No. Thousands of years, yes, but Prabhupada used to say a minute. He said a minute you can surrender yourself.
No. We are not talking about surrendering. What we are talking about, if I use the method of
thousands of
meditation,
years, repeatedly birth and repeatedly, that's those thousands of years. That's what
how
it says
many?
in Bhagavad Gita.
How many thousands of years? Give me a figure.
10,000 years of.
How long did it take Valmiki to perfect his life and qualify him to?
Oh, all his life, like since he sat there and since his whole entire body got murdered and got ant eaten it, and then like many varshas.
Okay, the figure is 60,000 years.
Yes.
Okay, it takes 60,000 years of silent meditation to perfect your life and go back home, back to Godhead. Do we live for 60,000 years in Kali Yuga?
No, we don't.
In Satya Yuga, what was the average human life? What was the average human life in Satya Yuga at the beginning of Satya Yuga?
100,000 years.
100,000 years, exactly. So the average human life was 100,000 years. Therefore, they could meditate for 60,000 years. Okay. And as Krishna Kumar said, we don't have that kind of time in Kali Yuga. In Kali Yuga, the average human life is only 100 years. At the beginning of Kali Yuga, the average human life is 100 years. And as Kali Yuga advances, the human life duration also goes on reducing. That's why every time we see people younger and younger are passing away. As Kali Yuga advances, even a 20-year, at the end of Kali Yuga, if a man lives for 20 years, that means he's lived a very long life at the end of Kali Yuga. Okay. So the duration, human duration, life duration is shortening. So we've discussed meditation requires 60,000 years. So that was recommended in Satya Yuga. Then in Dwapara Yuga, what was the method we said?
Yajna.
Yagya.
Doing
Now,
yajna.
what is the problem in perfecting Yagya in Kali Yuga?
It requires a lot of resources.
Resources, it requires a lot of resources, see, when Yudhishthir wanted to do the Rajachuya Yagya, Arjuna had to go and get gold, isn't it, from that king, and that therefore he was able to do. So Yagya requires a lot of opulence. It requires a lot of opulences, which in Kali Yuga we do not have. And one more reason, for doing every yagya, you need 4 very highly qualified brahmanas. They would sit in the 4 directions, and just by chanting mantras, they would light the fire. But now the brahmanas in Kali Yuga, they need matchbox to light the fire, isn't it? They cannot light the fire with just the mantras. So we don't have highly qualified brahmanas to do the yagya to perfection anymore in Kali Yuga, because the brahmanas make so many mistakes. It's not the fault of the brahmanas, it is the fault of the yuga, that we cannot chant the mantras to perfection anymore in Kali Yuga. Now let's come to Dwapara Yuga. Dwapara Yuga, we said deity worship. What is the problem with perfecting deity worship in Kali Yuga?
I think the dedication required by deity worship.
Dedication required, okay.
I think some people are trying it, like Laddu Gopal, many people, I've seen in people carry it throughout. Like, no, they give him breakfast, they put him to sleep, they wake him up in the morning, and then they feed him food. And then obviously, after he has taken food, then only they have food. And then they put him to sleep in the afternoon, wake him up in the evening, and again give food in the evening. So that is like kind of deity worship, which some people are trying, obviously with not that much purity, but people still are trying. So that could be one of the reasons.
Yeah, see, trying all the previous, even meditation and yagya is also, and even deity worship, all 3 methods are still being followed in Kali Yuga. But the point is achieving perfection in using that method. So why it's next to impossible? Probably there is 1 or 2 exceptions, I don't know, probably but largely speaking, it's impossible to maintain the standard of deity worship. For example, in Jagannath Puri, how many meals are offered to the Lord every day? How many items?
56.
56.
56. Chappan bhog, isn't it? Can we do that?
Oh.
Can we offer 56 items to the Lord every day?
No, we can't do that. No, it's not possible.
Yeah, we will go crazy, isn't it? So taking care of deity means early morning before sunrise, you get up, you bathe the deity, you change the clothes, you clean them, you offer the flowers, you do a puja, then you offer early morning, you offer some milk, and then there is breakfast, and then there are the Chappan Bhog, and then you put the deities to sleep at a stipulated time, and then they wake up at a stipulated time. So in Jagannath Puri temple, they are able to do it because there are so many Brahmins who are working as a team inside the temple, and so they are able to do it. Can we do it in our homes? It's not possible. So therefore, even deity worship to perfection, we are doing some deity worship, we are doing some yagyas. So to some extent, we are able to do in Kali Yuga, but it's not enough to attain perfection in this very lifetime. It requires more lifetimes, many more lifetimes in order to perfect it. But when we chant the Hare Krishna mantra, we can go back home, back to Godhead at the end of this lifetime itself. And this is what is said by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Lord Krishna himself. Therefore, we accept it as authority. Of course, Prabhupada tells this. Of course, ISKCON says this. So, but ISKCON and Prabhupada and our spiritual masters, all the gurus and sadhus in ISKCON say this because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says it. Okay, so even if somebody wants to say that, oh, but why should I accept what ISKCON says, or why should I accept what Prabhupada says? Okay, but you can accept what God says. But if you do not accept even God as an authority, then who are you going to accept as authority? So there is someone whom we have to accept as authority at the end of it, isn't it? Whom are we going to accept as authority? Am I going to accept, for example, the Baba in my village? Somebody may say, no, the Baba in my village, I will only follow what he has taught me because my entire family believes in him. So am I going to believe like that? Am I going to accept him as authority, or am I going to accept God himself as authority? That is a question that we have to ask ourselves, whom we want to accept as authority. And who can chant this Hare Krishna mantra?
Anyone can chant.
Anyone, it's available
Anyone
to
and
anyone.
everyone, irrespective of nationality, irrespective of whether you're a meat eater, whether you're an alcohol drinker, whether you're a cigarette smoker, whether you're your most conditioned soul, man, woman, rich, poor, anyone and everyone can chant this Mahamantra. There are no qualifications required, no rules and regulations. So anybody and everybody is free to take the mercy of the Lord and chant this Hare Krishna mantra. So I would recommend that if you are not already chanting, please chant. If you feel inspired to chant, then you please contact me and I will tell you the correct method to chant. Okay. So coming back to our chapter, Arjuna's reluctance to fight was like a surgeon's reluctance to operate. So if the surgeon says that, oh, I don't want to cut the body of my patient because I have compassion for the patient, the blood is going to come out, there are going to be stitches and there's going to be some pain, then you think that this doctor is crazy, isn't it? Because the doctor is going to operate to relieve the person from the pain, not to cause the pain. So Arjuna is going to fight in order to bring about compassion for the vast variety of people, but his compassion is misdirected. His compassion is for the body, not for the soul. So what do we learn from this? Don't run from pain, learn from it. See, sometimes we may go through some painful situations. Now, if the painful situation is unavoidable, then we should not run from it because we have to tolerate it. If the pain is unavoidable, then we should not run from it. Instead, we have to learn from it, as Arjuna did. Arjuna was in a very, very painful situation, and he was tempted to run away, right? He said, it's better that they kill me, or better I go and beg in the forest. So Arjuna was tempted to run away, but eventually he did not. Eventually he surrendered to Krishna and he learned from it, because then he got the knowledge from Krishna. So therefore, when we are in painful situation, it's better that we learn from it and not run away from it, if that painful situation is unavoidable. Now, of course, if the situation is avoidable, then it's better to avoid the pain. For example, if I accidentally put my hand in the fire, I'm not going to say that, no, I want to learn from the pain the fire is causing and let the fire burn my skin. People will put me in the mental asylum, isn't it? So when you can avoid the pain, of course, we have to avoid it. But when we cannot avoid, when we are in situations where we cannot avoid the pain, then we have to learn from that. In the next statement here, even when our eyes are full of tears, we can still choose to be all ears. So we saw Arjuna's eyes were full of tears. Ashru Purna Kulekshanam, we saw in the shloka, no? His eyes are full of tears. So there are situations when our eyes are also going to be full of tears. Nobody is living a picture perfect life, isn't it? There are ups and downs. So what do we do when the eyes are full of tears? We cannot see. See, when our eyes are full of tears, the vision gets blurred. We cannot see properly, right? So we are so affected, we are so overwhelmed that we forget what is right and what is wrong, and what is the right thing to do, we don't know. But so how do we get the proper vision? How can we see properly? How can we clearly know what to do? Is by hearing. We can still choose to be all ear. The eyes are blocked, the vision is blurred, but the ears can always hear. So we hear from authority, we hear from Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, we hear from the Lord, and then we make the choice as to what is the right thing to do, how I should move forward from this situation. How can I resolve my problem? And that's what Arjuna did. His eyes were full of tears, but he heard from Krishna, and therefore he knew what should be the future course of action. We'll stop here. We'll continue in the next class, if Krishna so sanctions. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So today was a very heavy class. As we proceed in the Bhagavad Gita, the philosophy gets deeper and deeper, and we will be touching upon very, very important philosophical matters. So the vacation is over. Chapter 1, very simple chapter, that is finished now. But now as the philosophy deepens, we need to pay more attention and we need to have more patience. Okay, so please bear with us. We will try and simplify it as much as we can. If Krishna so. Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I have a question.
Yes.
You know, when I used to be, can you explain me the definition back to Godhead?
Okay. So we are all spirit souls, and we originally existed in the kingdom of God in the spiritual world. Now, spiritual world is composed, the spiritual world is in the form of a lotus. The center of the lotus is Goloka, and the petals of the lotus are the Vaikuntha planets. Originally, we all existed in the spiritual world, but because we had the desire to enjoy independently from God, because we had the desire to see what it is like to live away from God, live on my own, the moment that thought came to us, we came down to the material world. So when we say going back home, back to Godhead means going back. See, when we say going back means it's a place where we originally existed. If I let's say I have visited America and I say I'm going back to America, it means I have been there before, right? So when we say going back home, back to Godhead means going back to the spiritual world where we originally existed. And that is where there is eternal happiness. That's where we can always be happy. Because here in the material world, we are like a fish out of water. It's not the place where we originally belong to. That is our home. So when we say going back home, back to God, it means going back to the spiritual world from where we originally came.
Okay. Yeah, that's the thing I want to clear, because, you know, when I was small, we used to get these magazines, Back to Godhead.
Yes, that's a magazine that Prabhupada himself started.
Prabhupada himself started, exactly. But this was a question that I always used to ask. I mean, to ask myself, what do you mean by going back to Godhead? You said me, but I still, it's like going, I understood the same way. We came from there, and when he said going back to Godhead means going back to the place where you belong, you mean.
Exactly, yes, yes.
That's what you mean to say about it, isn't it?
Yes, yes, exactly.
Okay, I got it. All right, thanks, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, you're welcome.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Bye. Okay, any more questions? How are we with the exams? With the exam, not exams, but exam. Is there anybody who has a difficulty logging into formatives to the website?
Yes, I cannot log.
Okay, so what is the difficulty? You need to sign in.
Yes.
Using, if you have a Google account,
Okay, I will try again today.
Okay, you try, and if you're not able to access it for any reason, you please contact me. Anyone who's not able to log in, you please contact me and I can send you the step-by-step method as to how you can access the question paper. So
I
here
also have
are
the problem.
papers I have received from Aja, Anjali, Ayush, Saket, Deepa, Vijay Kumar, Disha Melwani, Divya Budrani, Gargi, Jay Radhe Tela, Kalpana Heblekar, Ramgulam, Lavina Ramchandani, Ninad Mehta, Rajan Girdhar, Ritu Lalwani, and Sri Radha. These are the submissions that I have received only. So if you have,
Mataji, you want the previous session students also to write the exam?
yes, why not?
Okay.
Why not? You can only benefit. No, it's a win-win situation. Is there anything that we are going to lose? Why not? So please work on the question papers and submit them on the website. And you will enjoy the exams. It's an open book exam, and as you answer them, you will have to read more, and then you will thoroughly enjoy the process.
Mataji, those who cannot log into the exam for whatever reason, it may not do it, even though you have an email or whatever, and you may have forgotten your password or whatever. Can it be done also like this, like the one you posted the entire exam, and then if we could do it that way and send it to you, if we cannot log in?
Yeah, no, there is no reason why you cannot log in.
One phone I can log in, the other phone I cannot log in.
But you already submitted your paper, right?
Yeah. But I'm just saying, again, if I have to go in there and the system won't let me log in and I don't remember my thing, could this be a chance to do it like that as well? If not logged in, if not.
Yeah, in an extreme rare case, then yes, you can send it to me, but preferably please submit it on the website, because correcting the papers manually takes a lot of time, and I don't have that kind of time, unfortunately. Okay, but if in an extreme case, if there is no other option, then yeah, you can send it to me and I can correct it manually, no problem.
If you don't remember the password, you can always reset, right?
You can always recover your password.
This other phone that I have, I'm trying to do it. It just won't let me get in. I tried everything. I put in an email and everything. It just won't let me log in.
So you use the first phone, the phone that you
I will do that. I've never signed out of that. I will try to do that, but if it doesn't let me in, then I'll get back at you. But
okay.
Can
Anyway,
you send me the link again, please?
Yeah, I will share the link of the exam again in the group, so that people who have joined later also, they can access it.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody who's joining us for the first time today? First timers in this class or the previous class? Okay. Anything else we need to discuss?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhammapanam. I have one question.
Yes.
Yesterday, I think yesterday or day before, when you in the group you mentioned everybody's name who are registered. My name wasn't in it. I mean, I remember registering. So I can still take the test, and if I pass, I'll get the certificate, right?
Oh, yes, definitely. The last date for submission was it 6th June? Does anybody remember?
10th June, I think. 10th of June.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So you still have time to submit. You have more
Okay.
than.
So I don't remember. I mean, I think I did register, but when you included people's name who have registered in the WhatsApp group, my name was not there. So does that matter?
Let me check. I'll check right now if you are registered here. So those who have registered and not yet submitted the paper are Jeetu Ahuja, Mampi Biswas. Here, Bhumika, you have registered here. Now I can see Neha Chatlani, Ranjit Das, Sandra, Upasna, Venkatchari, and Venkatesh Adisheshan. So you have not registered here.
Okay, so do we have to register for?
Yeah, you need to register on the site. You can use your Google account to register. That's what I did. And then you can have access to the question paper.
Okay, so it has to be Google. It cannot be like WhatsApp.
No, you can. No. Google, or you can put in your ID and password. Google is one of the options. Your Gmail, because most people have Gmail ID nowadays.
Can you share the link where we have to register, please?
Yeah, I will share it at the end of the class. I will share it.
Thank you. I'll try to do it today itself.
Okay. So these this whole thing of formatives and uploading the question papers on formative is done by Disha Jadwani. So I would like to thank her for her efforts. It was her it's her idea to put it on the website, and she's doing all the hard work. Of course, the question paper is set by me. I sent her the questions. She has the questions already, and then she puts them up on the site. So she has been guiding me on this, and thank you very much, Disha, for your service. I don't know if she's still there or she's left.
I am. It's my pleasure. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for your service. Okay. Anything else we need to discuss? Yes, Gargi.
Yesterday was my first online lecture. I enjoyed
Okay,
it.
so this is the first time you're joining us. Can you speak a little louder? I cannot hear you.
Actually, I think there is a connectivity problem.
I don't understand. Can you speak a little louder?
I think connectivity problem is there.
You have a connectivity problem. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, but anyway, we are very glad to have you with us for the first time. And you told me that you've been watching the recordings. So you are. So thank you very much for joining. Okay, anything else we need to discuss? All right, then see you all in the next class. Krishna, so if Krishna so sanctions, Panchakalpataro vyascha, Sindhu vyaivacha, Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada jai.
Jai. Hare Krishna, Rama Pranam Mataji. Thank you so
Hare
much.
Krishna.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.